Hey, and we're back with another episode of Before You Buy, that show where we give you some straight up gameplay and our first impressions of the latest games releasing. And today we're talking about Horizon Forbidden West DLC, The Burning Shores. Coming out more than a year after the original game, Burning Shores has a lot to live up to. The Frozen Waste DLC for the original Horizon was really good, but there's always room for improvement. So does this manage it? Well, we spent some time with the game and got some thoughts. Just so you know, this footage was captured on PlayStation 5 and is spoiler-free. And in a surprise turn of events, this video is not by me. It was actually written by our gameplay capture guy, Eric Thielenhaus. So now, one thing that's immediately intriguing about this game is that it's firmly set after the events of the main game. You can't even start it until you complete the final mission. So in a way, this game is a bridge to the inevitable third installment, rather than just being some little side adventure like the Frozen Wastes was. The story this time is that Silence, voiced of course by the late, great Lance Reddick, and just side note, it's good to hear his voice one more time, he discovers the location of the last remaining Far Zenith colonist in the ruins of Los Angeles. If that means nothing to you, well, the game doesn't really do too much to catch players up from last time, so hopefully you remember stuff or watch a YouTube video. It just picks up directly where the last game ended, with not a lot of exposition to set things in motion. So from there, Aloy is flying off to LA, gets shot down, and immediately makes friends with a new character named Seika, who ends up being the main ally through this DLC story. Now, we don't want to reveal too much here, but there are some pretty interesting tidbits to chew on with the story and the new bad guy, who we immediately recognized as Sam Witwer. It's pretty fun. He's awesome. I mean, come on, we know it's you, Starkiller or Deke. Like, you're not fooling anyone with that mustache. But as usual with these games, the performances are solid and the production values are just wild. Like, everything, even the random side quests, get just as much love and attention as the main story, and it all looks great. The environment deserves real special mention here. The Burning Shores are the most complex and interesting locales we've seen in this series so far, and the fact that they're built to be explored using a flying mount is great. Honestly, the flying mount was kind of underutilized in the original game, at least partially because the game had to be backwards compatible with PlayStation 4, I guess, but maybe that's not really the case here. And that's worth pointing out. The DLC is PlayStation 5 exclusive. If you got the PS4 version, you just can't play it, which is actually a drag for those people, a huge bummer. Like, what's with the half support? I get it's an older console, but I mean, you sold them the base game. Still, if you have a next-gen console, then this whole area is a real showcase. You can fly higher and see more than you ever could in the base game, and the new cloud technology they're using here is some pretty amazing stuff. And the map isn't small either. Like, it's about 1/3 the size of the regular map, and parts of it are cut off until you destroy these turrets, but there's still plenty to do. There's the usual hunting grounds, relic ruins, and treasures to discover, along with this new resource called Brimshine, which is found by exploring the world and is usually hidden in some hard-to-reach place. Now, this stuff can be traded for the new weapons and armor in the DLC, none of which is essential if you're playing on normal, but they're still worth getting, just because of how ridiculously powerful they are. Now, along with new equipment, there's also a new tier of skills to unlock that have some pretty powerful new abilities. And the machines have gotten an upgrade too, so nearly everything you take on here is an Apex machine. One disappointing thing is that there's really only one new machine in the game. It's called the Bile Gut, and while it's a great new enemy that's fun to fight, we were kind of hoping that we get more. There are a few other enemies that pop up that we don't want to spoil, but the Bile Gut is the only new major wild machine in the Burning Shores, which is disappointing. Now, the side content here feels especially strong. One interesting thing they've done is that every quest doesn't just start by talking to someone in town. They get a little more creative this time around. Like one quest that starts by flying into a storm, or another that only triggers after exploring a certain relic ruin. Stuff like this makes exploring the map feel rewarding rather than the tedious, busy work it can fall into in most open world games. Now, we really have to emphasize how great everything looks too, visually. The LA area puts San Francisco from Forbidden West to shame. It's by far the largest ruin in the entire series, and everything looks pretty damn amazing. It's by far the most treacherous and complex area to navigate in the series too, with these high cliffs and random lava flows. It really feels like a final area, if you know what I mean. It's also like the most fantastical place we've seen yet in the series, and we think it's all the better for it. We did notice some glitches in the distance during some cutscenes and in the open world, which were pretty ugly and distracting, but for the most part, otherwise, everything was solid. Now, fair warning to those of you coming back to the game after a year plus break though, it took us a while to get back into the groove of things, and you will have to look up how to use the pullcaster again. Just a fun fact, it's aim, then press triangle. The game just straight up expects you to be familiar with everything and ready to take on some pretty tough challenges, so buckle up. Now, the only real issue we have with the DLC is that it mostly plays it safe. The production, like we talked about, is second to none. The size and quality of the story make this one an easy recommendation, but with only a few new weapons and a small selection of new enemies, it doesn't really feel like you're doing a lot of new most of the time. The story missions are, as usual, great. Everything in here is up to the standard of the original game, maybe even a little better, some could argue. They are at least mixing things up and keeping things fresh somewhat, like this part where you have to avoid turret fire and find the right angle to shoot its weak point, or the mission where you have to use ballistas to shoot spikes into walls in order to climb up higher. You do a lot of fun stuff in the missions, but at the end of the day, most of your time here is going to be fighting machines just like in the main game, using mostly the same weapons as before. Then again, one of our problems with Horizon Forbidden West were mostly how many systems there were. All of the crafting attachments and resources started to get old after a while, and in contrast, this DLC keep things pretty simple, which we appreciate. I mean, all the weapon upgrading and stuff is still here, and it's just as annoying as it is in the main game, but if you want to get any of the new weapons or armor, all you need is that new resource and nothing else. So if you like the story of these games and want to see where it's going next, then we think this DLC is pretty much a must play. There's some cool stuff to see here and there, and some surprise returns from some characters from the main game. The story is good, the presentation, like we said, great, but the core gameplay remains mostly the same. There's new stuff to explore, things to see, but since the main focus of the game is fighting giant robots, that's the same. There's not a lot of new going on there. With all that said, again, this is still a very good add-on that feels like a substantial continuation of the story of the main game. The real star of the show here is this cool environment. It's one of the more interesting open world areas we've seen in a minute, and just hanging out in this place is fun. Graphically, it's all up to the standards we've come to expect with Guerrilla, and it's still one of the best looking games. If it had just a few more weapons and enemies, then we'd call it one of the best DLCs ever, but still, it's just really, really good. But hey, that's a before you buy. You know how this goes by now. We give you some pros, some cons, and some personal opinion, and now we want to hear yours. What are your first impressions of the game? I feel like it just came out of nowhere, but here we are playing it, so if you got any opinions, let us know. Anything at all, down there. And if this video helped you out, maybe informed you of your purchase or whatever, clicking the like button helps us. Thank you. But as always, thanks for watching, and we'll see you guys next time.